The EduTech guys present a conversation from our live coverage of FETC in Orlando, Florida on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018. Enjoy the program.
I'm Derrick Brown. I'm with Evergreen Public Schools, and we're in Southwest Washington, just across the river from Portland, Oregon.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
You traveled a long way.
Man, you came a long way.
I did.
Literally all the way across the country.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's that important.
That is corner to corner.
It's that important.
That's
Kids
awesome.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so is this your
that's-
first FETC?
Actually, it's not. Second.
Cool.
I was
Cool.
here last year.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We were
that's
too.
great.
We were sitting right here last year.
Oh,
so.
awesome. I missed
Yeah.
you guys. I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm here today.
Yeah,
This is
well,
your
we're
first
glad
time to
you're-
present, though.
At this level, yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was on a panel last year and doing a few more panels this year and just trying to educate and collaborate and do as much as we can with learning from others.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what are some of the things that you're doing in your schools?
The major thing we're doing is a digital transformation.
Okay.
We've been working on this initiative for about 3 years. We've said, let's go slow to go fast. And what does that mean, digital transformation? It's not about really handing out devices to kids. It's the transformation pedagogically.
Yeah.
What does this mean to teachers?
Yeah.
And that's where we started. We went really slow, and we have 37 schools. We serve a little over 26,000 students, and we went to 9 administrators, and we said, this is what we want to do. What do you think? And they said, yes, but let's not limit it. So we opened it up to all 37 schools. We did an application process. We had 15 applications from those administrators. We narrowed it down to 9, and we began our rollout. And we call it the zombie apocalypse. We wanted to infect everyone and bite them one at a time about this shift.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And we really literally locked arms. We didn't want to do PD and pull them out of their classroom. We wanted to get into the classroom. We brought consultants in to show what this transformation might look like. And fast forwarding 2 years ago, we had about a dozen pilots of curriculum. 4 months ago, we took 6 of those to the school board and we adopted them. So we have 6 now digital curriculum offerings.
Okay.
We have over 300 online resources available to teachers, and we're just saying there's no limit, there's no ceiling, but here's the baseline. Here are the minimums from an instructional perspective of what you need to offer
Wow.
students.
So you guys really bulked up and you were ready.
We did, and and it's so much to learn. We still say it's year 0, even though we're 3 years into this, because we're now learning, and we only have about a half dozen to a dozen teachers in each school starting this work, and that's the zombie apocalypse. Now we will begin to open up classrooms, allow teachers to go and visit their peers. We've set up almost like a flash or a stoplight scenario where when it's green, come in. When it's yellow, caution. And if it's red, no, stay out. We're trying something new. You don't want to be part of this.
Oh, that's cool. That's a really good idea.
That's
That's
a great way
it's
to
exciting,
approach this.
really
so
exciting.
how are the teachers taking to this? Are they?
It's a slow adoption. I would say we have our high flyers, and we're just trying to model what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then we have the ones that are dipping their toe in, and then we have a few laggards. I mean, we're always going to have those.
Yeah.
But by giving the devices to the students now, we are 1-to-1, 6 through 12, take-home devices. And then we have carts in every classroom, 2 to 5. So devices are available.
Wow.
And we've just started because we know that the kids are ready, the parents are ready. The biggest thing was communication, transparency, telling the story about why we're doing this. We can't afford textbook adoptions any longer. We need to go digital. And we've prepared as much as we can, and now we need to do. There's some action that has to happen.
So can I ask, what technology did you guys use? Chromebooks?
We did. We went with Chromebooks.
I think everybody's using Chromebooks.
But that's not where we started.
Just a good price.
It is a great price.
Well, that's the thing. You've noticed this because since you guys are, boom zombie apocalypse, we're finally at the cost point.
Yes.
And we're finally at the technological point.
Yes.
So that we know when those kids take them home that we're still monitoring everything.
That's right.
We're keeping them safe. We're not trying to block anything. We've just got GoGuardian or Impero or whatever we're running on it to make sure that mom and dad trust us. Wherever they're going, they're not getting to where they're not supposed to on our dime.
And we know where they're going.
Exactly.
They're contained. There are some borders here.
Well, and that gives the teacher so much control.
Yes.
And that's a big deal. And, I don't guess we've always had that control, turn your book to page number 48. Well, now it's great. Let me just whitelist this, and everybody's got this same website. So,
and that's what we're exactly trying to tell our teachers is this isn't really anything new. It's just a different way of doing it, and showing them that. And once they kind of get their head around that and say, okay, it is change, but it's not that much different than what we were doing before.
Right. Well, and that's where we're great about technology in the teacher's point. What we try to push in workshops is that in 1980 or something, when I was in school, you'd open up the book and you would read about the Vietnam War.
Right.
And this is all I had unless I went to the library and found a book or an encyclopedia.
Yes.
But now, that would cause me to draw rocket ships, and I would goof off probably.
Yeah, distracted.
But
Me too.
now I can start, and that's what our kids are doing. That's really hard for some teachers to oh wait, they're learning more than I know. That's okay. You don't have to be the sage anymore.
That's right. Personalized learning.
Right.
Yeah. Remember what our grandparents said: be smart enough to hire someone smarter than you.
That's
Just
right.
teach kids that are smarter than you.
That's right.
You're going to learn. And
Absolutely.
and they're going to think that's the greatest teacher I ever had.
That's right. They'll remember.
That's
They'll
right.
come back. They'll
Right.
tell others.
Let them teach.
And some of the greatest and most difficult learning experiences, especially from someone who is charged with educating someone else, teachers in the classroom, or if it's adults teaching other adults or whatever it is in today's world, where I can say something and within 3 taps that can be backed up and proven,
Yes.
or it can be completely destroyed and disproven, and that in itself is fluid. I mean,
Yes.
I'm old school. Like, Pluto's a planet to me, and so that really, that's a challenge. That gets challenged now, and you're like, well, okay, it's sort of it's a dwarf planet. We'll kind of give it back to you, but we're not, but it's that exact same kind of thing. And so you have teachers now who are taking part in this, helping their students with this transformation, helping themselves go through this transformation, and hopefully, anyway, it's kind of and maybe this is the question. Do you see it as a partnership in the growth through your program?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Thank you. You just teed that up. Because that was on the tip of my tongue, and I wanted to say it earlier, that this is not about technology. In fact, we fell back. I'm very fortunate that education technology is part of my team. We have teacher librarians, and so the team seems pretty big, but we have stepped back, got out of the driver's seat, gave the keys to curriculum and instruction, and said, teaching and learning, you're driving this. We're here with you. We will co-pilot, but what do you need? What does that framework look like? And we just formed an arranged marriage. Our superintendent, who's retired, he had 49 years in education.
Wow.
It was him and the school board that kind of dreamed this up. It was their vision, their mission. 4 years ago, they hired my position. I was fortunate enough to land it. Then they hired a deputy superintendent. And then a year later, we hired a assistant superintendent of teaching and learning. And the 3 of us locked arms, checked egos at the door, and said, how are we going to do this? They literally gave us the keys and said, this is what we want, make it happen.
Yeah.
And we did. And now that deputy superintendent was the longest job interview ever. He is now our superintendent. And it's just fantastic what we're doing for kids.
That's awesome,
and for
man.
educators.
It's good, and that's a hard part for a lot of districts right now for the last 2 decades, is to redefine those goals. And one of our big things is expanding their narrative.
Yes.
That's really hard for them to do. Rebranding.
It is. It's marketing. It is
it's
rebranding.
rebranding ourselves and expanding the narrative from 2 lines to a full paragraph.
A lot of conversations with the union, with human resources. We had to change job descriptions.
Sure.
We didn't want to move anyone out, but we said, here are our new metrics. Here's where we're going. Kids first. Keep that in mind. It's not about the adults. Kids first. We're doing this for children. Yeah. And we changed job descriptions, and we're setting milestones so that things are achievable in 3 years. Not tomorrow, but this is where we need our educators to be to help our kids.
Yeah. So have you, along those same lines, where you're changing some of that conversation, like you said, you've had to work with the unions, changing job descriptions. So, and it may be too early for this in the scope of what you're doing, but have you seen, heard, experienced some of the folks who don't feel like they fit that narrative anymore and have had to seek, go somewhere else that does fit the narrative that they're more comfortable with?
We have, and it really started internally on the curriculum and instruction side, and on the ed tech and IT side. We had to change our positions too in order to support where we were going. And so with those job descriptions, we wanted to find out, we knew we had enough people. We were on the bus, but what seat did they need to be in on that bus to get, and have all the, another analogy, we needed all the oars to be rowing in the same direction. So it started internally. We did have to shift some people around. Some people decided, I'm not going to do this anymore, and they moved on, or they've retired. We didn't see much of that in the classroom, thankfully. And I don't think that we will see much of that in the classroom. what this has brought is another level of energy.
Sure.
People are energized. When I arrived 4 years ago, it'll be 4 years in May, I remember the board meeting. It was the last one of the school year, and teachers were demanding curriculum. Like, what do we want curriculum? When do we want it now? Mm-hmm. Well, they have it now. It's in the form of digital. It's not the textbook, but they're not going away. There's still textbooks. We're still going to have libraries. There's still going to be a media center. It just might look a little differently.
Right.
So my question is, let's talk about school culture. The kids have to be ecstatic at this point.
They are.
And that's the big kicker right there. Have you seen a huge change across K-12?
In engagement, absolutely. Kids want to come to school now.
They want to be leaders.
Yes. And it's really, before you could see that divide, and this brings equity. With access brings equity. We also made sure that when students go home, we're 47% free and reduced lunch. Okay. So we know that there's a big population that might not have access. Last year we had over 1,000 students that were displaced. So what are we going to do, and what are we going to offer those kids that when they take a device that they are continuing to learn? They're thinking about shelter, what are they going to eat? Food. But is food, exactly. But if they have that device, at least they have something to hold on to, and they're still energized and they want to continue to come back and learn, and they're doing that. Yeah. So while we're taking care of other resources for them and their family, we're not losing them. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing that we want to make sure of.
I think that's the best thing that's happening to us equitable-wise is that, if a kid comes to school in a BMW or a kid rides a bus, they've all got the same technology in their hand. And a kid knows that if they're sleeping in a mission or they're sleeping in a 10-bedroom household, that kid in a mission knows that I can do exactly the same thing, just as well or better than my peers.
That's right. And we care. We care enough about them. We tried the BYOD, and that was too disruptive to the teachers. Sure. Then she had to become the technologist. Yeah. We didn't want that disruption, and we said, what can we do to own this?
Yeah. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Okay, so let's talk about your presentation.
Which one? So the big one, it's on focusing on the why. How can an IT leader lead the digital transformation? Mm-hmm. It's a great title, but I'm actually changing it. So here's a little spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
IT doesn't lead it. We're the bridge builder. We bring in, we partner, the arranged marriage I mentioned, and we do this with partners, with our not only internal partners, but with third-party vendors. So IT doesn't lead it. We're just one of the stakeholders.
Yeah.
So that's really the spoiler.
I would tell you, though, in a lot of places, that is actually the largest hurdle a district has to get over.
IT guys, you know how they are.
Getting the IT guys to flip that switch and realize,
Windows 98.
We're the guys charged with making it happen. Right. You're in charge of, the other folks are in charge of the what and the how and the why and that and we are in charge of, okay, this is what you want. How do we make that happen?
You need a four-door sedan. Let me get you that four-door sedan.
Let me get
That's where we're supposed to be.
And then we stay out of the way.
That's right.
There's a lot of places where it's not that way.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to come and be here to tell our story.
Yeah.
We're all chief storytellers. What works for us may not work for others, but it all starts with let's sit down and have a conversation, open communication. Let's be transparent. Check egos at the door. Let's focus on the mission. And this kids first, and teachers. We can't leave anyone behind, and we have to also know that we're not the smartest people in the room. Right. Other people have done this before us. Everyone always talks about LA Unified. There are lots of stories to tell. Mooresville Graded School District. We don't have to all jump on an airplane and go somewhere. We can get on Skype. We can do mystery Skype, Google Hangouts, do whatever you need to do to pick up the phone and talk to people and learn from others.
That's awesome. That's going to be a great session.
I'm excited.
So your second session, you have two?
So that's the feature presentation.
Okay.
The others are just panels.
Okay, cool.
Some say just, but I'm excited to be collaborating. It's one of the ones that we did here last year. And that one is, I got to look it up because the old brain here.
It's happening to us all, believe me.
10 questions IT directors must be able to answer. And another spoiler alert, we've narrowed that down to 5, and we're really going to call them categories.
Yeah, sure.
Community, transparency, integrity, data, student data privacy, and security. So we've kind of narrowed it down to a few categories.
That's cool, and you covered them all really well. That sounds.
That's going to be a great discussion.
We're not doing now. Security.
That's going to bring a lot of people into the fold.
I hope so.
And that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to change those minds of Windows 98 is not I don't know Windows at all. If that's what they use, that's great. But so many times IT directors say, no, I don't want to have to deal with Chromebooks, or I don't want to have to deal with Apple iPads, or I don't want to have to deal with this. And that's not I'm sorry, we've got 2,300 kids or 12,000 kids and 800 teachers that say otherwise, and
that's right.
We're going to go with the flow here,
and that's why we did a needs assessment. We went back to teaching and learning and said, what do you need this thing to do? What kind of horsepower? How far are you planning on traveling? Can we just plug it in, or what does it need to do? And for teaching and learning, it was digital inking. So at the time, before Chromebooks got there in Apollo Lake, it was the Surface 3, that student device that they came out with. Dell and a couple of other big players, Lenovo, had their ThinkPads with pens, and so the active stylus is what teaching and learning wanted. So we tried a couple of Windows 10 devices.
Sure.
Tried.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
And we let the teachers tell us.
And the teachers are the ones that we really have to listen to them. We really do.
Right.
The kids will jump onto anything.
That's right.
The teachers have what they're comfortable with. That's
absolutely
true. Well, I hate to run you off, but we're running into time.
Thank you so much.
If you see the seat open, you want to come back and tell us after your session. If you have a blast and you have an epiphany and think of something you want to share with the listeners, please come back and see us.
I appreciate you guys
absolutely.
so much. Thanks
Before you go, we have a little tchotchke for you. I'll give you a little parting gift for taking part in the hot seat. And
thank you so much.
Thanks, putting
Derrick.
up with us grilling you the way we did. Very good to meet you, Derrick,
really
man. I appreciate it. Awesome. That is Derrick Brown. So glad he stopped by and shared with us some of the really cool things and the changing of the mindset of what's going on with his district all the way up in Washington.
Well, there's a trip.
That is a
I'm gonna tell you,
trip.
we wouldn't have.
You've been listening to a recorded conversation from EduTech Guy's live coverage of FETC 2018. For more information about EduTech Guys, visit edutechguys.com. And thanks for listening.